What if the truth about Meghan Markle's past wasn't just rumor, but something the royal family themselves couldn't keep hidden? Imagine Harry finding out about his wife's connections from someone he never expected, Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet that's exactly what happened. Harry's reaction was instant shock, disbelief, and a surge of protective fury. And the story behind it? It's more tangled than anyone could have guessed. But before we continue, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for updates. The world thinks they know Meghan Markle, Hollywood starlet, Duchess, public figure, but very few have seen the parts of her life that intersected with royalty in ways that are both surprising and controversial. And now, Sarah Ferguson has revealed details that could rewrite what we thought we knew. She spoke about Meghan's early days mingling with high-profile figures on luxury yachts. Days that were completely unknown to the public and, until now, even to Harry himself. The revelation has left him stunned, caught between disbelief and anger. Why does this matter? Because this isn't just idle gossip. It's a story of connections, secrets, and influence that touch the heart of the monarchy itself. It raises questions about loyalty, transparency, and family trust. Harry is grappling with a bombshell dropped not by the media, but by someone inside the royal circle. Someone who saw what was happening firsthand. And the timing couldn't be more dramatic, as every word threatens to ripple through the family, the public, and the media. Now, picture this: a private conversation with Sarah Ferguson, whispered disclosures, and Harry learning about Meghan's past in a way that no one could have anticipated. It's the kind of revelation that makes you pause. How did he not know? Why wasn't he warned? And what exactly did Sarah reveal that made him freeze in disbelief? These are the questions that will drive this story forward, and they're only the beginning. By the end of this video, you'll understand not just the details Sarah Ferguson shared, but the emotional impact it had on Harry, and why the monarchy is now facing a new wave of scrutiny. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. What if the glittering world of luxury yachts held secrets that even the royal family didn't know about? Imagine endless stretches of ocean, champagne flutes sparkling in the sun, and invitations so exclusive that most people wouldn't even dream of receiving them. This was the world Meghan Markle navigated before Hollywood fully claimed her, and before Harry even knew what was happening. It's a world of power, influence, and connections where every handshake could change a life, and every invitation could shift reputations. Luxury yachts aren't just boats, they're floating kingdoms. Celebrities, business moguls, and even royals mingle in spaces that most people only see on glossy magazine covers. But behind the smiles and cocktails lies a network of favors, deals, and relationships carefully cultivated over time. Sarah Ferguson revealed that Meghan was already familiar with this world, moving in circles that intersected unexpectedly with royalty. The details she shared were shocking. Meghan was more than just a socialite. She was involved in exclusive events, where every client counted and every connection mattered. And here's the twist: these weren't ordinary clients. They were influential, high-profile, and the kind of people who could make or break careers or reputations. Sarah's words hinted that Meghan had navigated these waters strategically, forming relationships that later amplified her rise. But one client stood out, a connection that would shock Harry to his core. While Meghan's charm and ambition were apparent, the fact that her first client was tied directly to the royal family changed everything. It wasn't just a professional relationship. It was personal, controversial, and something that Harry would never have expected. It's easy to imagine Harry scrolling through his phone, trying to process what Sarah revealed. The yacht world might seem glamorous from the outside, but inside, it was a minefield. Every invitation, every party, every handshake carried weight. For Meghan, it was a world she navigated with grace, but also with consequences that were only now surfacing. Sarah Ferguson described the atmosphere in vivid detail: hidden conversations, whispered negotiations, and a level of sophistication that demanded attention. These weren't casual encounters. They were carefully curated moments with people who had influence over more than just social circles. So why does this matter to Harry? Because the client Meghan worked with first wasn't just anyone, it was Andrew. And this revelation was enough to make Harry pause, question, and, most likely, feel a mixture of shock, confusion, and betrayal. The implications were enormous, and the story was only beginning to unravel. But what Sarah Ferguson revealed next, about Andrew's role and the conversations that followed, would push the situation into uncharted territory. The next chapter exposes the insider perspective that made this revelation explosive. Imagine having access to the inner workings of the royal family, seeing conversations and secrets that the public could only dream of. That's exactly the position Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, found herself in. She wasn't just a casual observer. She was family, a trusted confidant, and someone who could notice the smallest shift in dynamics that outsiders would completely miss. And it's precisely that insider access that made her revelations about Meghan Markle's yacht days so explosive. Sarah's perspective is unique. She has spent decades navigating palace politics, understanding the unspoken rules, and witnessing firsthand the delicate balance between family loyalty and personal ambition. Her credibility comes not from gossip, but from lived experience. When she talks about Meghan, the audience isn't just hearing a story. They're hearing someone who has seen the royal system operate behind closed doors, someone who knows how quickly a small secret can escalate into a full-blown scandal. According to Sarah, Meghan's early connections were more than coincidence. They were deliberate, strategic, and positioned in a world that intersected with royals in unexpected ways. Sarah described meetings, introductions, and yacht gatherings that were never meant for public consumption. These weren't casual social events, she reportedly said. Everything that happened there mattered, and everyone was watching, even if they didn't realize it. Sarah's role in revealing these details wasn't easy. She hesitated, aware that exposing Meghan's past could spark tension across the royal family, and that Harry, in particular, would be blindsided. But the truth, she believed, had to be told. And when she finally shared the details about Meghan's first client, it wasn't just a passing remark. It was a revelation with profound consequences. Harry, listening to her account, reportedly went silent. He had never anticipated that Meghan's connections would include someone so close to the royal circle, someone whose involvement could ignite scandal. It's one thing to hear rumors in the tabloids. It's another to have an insider lay out the facts, piece by piece, with clarity and authority. Sarah Ferguson's insider knowledge gave weight to the story. She didn't just hint at Meghan's past. She painted a full picture, detailing the circles she moved in, the influential figures she met, and the subtle power dynamics that shaped every interaction. Her account made it clear that this wasn't just a phase of social climbing. It was a network of relationships that carried real stakes. And just when it seemed the story had reached its peak, Sarah dropped the line that truly stunned Harry. Meghan's first client was Andrew. Not a celebrity, not a business magnate, Andrew. The implications were staggering, and the silence that followed spoke volumes. The question now wasn't just about Meghan's past. It was about how Harry would react, and what the fallout would mean for the family. But what came next, according to Sarah, would shock Harry even further, and set the stage for drama that no one in the palace could have predicted. What if the life you thought you knew about someone was only the tip of the iceberg? That's exactly the revelation Harry faced when Sarah Ferguson began tracing Meghan's steps before she became a Hollywood star or a duchess. Meghan's early career wasn't just about acting auditions or charity appearances. According to Sarah, it was a calculated journey through exclusive social circles, a world where influence, connections, and perception mattered as much as talent. And in that world, one misstep, or one powerful connection, could define a person's trajectory forever. Sarah described Meghan as ambitious, charming, and acutely aware of the doors that could open if navigated correctly. She attended parties, charity galas, and private yacht gatherings, mingling with figures most people wouldn't even recognize. But these weren't just networking events. They were arenas where reputations were built, alliances were formed, and secrets quietly exchanged. Sarah emphasized that Meghan didn't just attend these gatherings for social pleasure. Every handshake, every smile, every introduction was a move in a much larger game. Here's where it gets controversial. According to Ferguson, Meghan's first significant client wasn't a movie producer or fashion mogul. It was Andrew, the Duke of York. This revelation instantly raised eyebrows. Why was Andrew involved in Meghan's early professional life? How did their paths even cross? And more importantly, what did it mean for Harry, who had always assumed he knew the story of Meghan's past? The idea that Meghan's career intersected with royalty before she ever met Harry was enough to send shockwaves through him. Sarah detailed how Meghan, despite her youth and relative inexperience, handled these interactions with remarkable sophistication. She knew how to present herself, how to impress without overstepping, and how to navigate the delicate balance of influence and discretion. For those familiar with palace etiquette, these skills are crucial, and Sarah implied that Meghan used them to great effect. It wasn't manipulation, exactly, but it was a strategic awareness that made her stand out in elite circles. But here's the twist. Being Andrew's first client wasn't just a professional milestone. It carried personal and political implications. Sarah hinted that these early interactions would later ripple through Meghan and Harry's lives in ways nobody anticipated. For Harry, the realization that Meghan had intersected with someone so close to the family before their romance would be jarring. Questions of loyalty, transparency, and intent naturally emerged. Could he reconcile the woman he married with the choices of her past? And just when it seemed the story couldn't get more complicated, Sarah revealed that these early career moves were only the beginning. Meghan's network wasn't just a stepping stone. It was a web that would soon entangle her, Harry, and the royal family in drama, secrecy, and emotional tension that no one could have predicted. But what Sarah revealed next, about Andrew's direct role in Meghan's first assignments, would leave Harry speechless and the palace on edge. Imagine the shock of learning that someone so close to your family, someone whose actions have shaped the monarchy's public image, was directly involved in your partner's past. That was Harry's reality when Sarah Ferguson began explaining Andrew's role in Meghan's early yacht days. It wasn't just a casual introduction or a fleeting connection. According to Sarah, Andrew was more than a bystander. He was a gatekeeper, a key figure in a world where influence, discretion, and appearances mattered more than anyone outside could imagine. Andrew's involvement was complex. As a royal accustomed to both privilege and scrutiny, he had a reputation for mingling with powerful social circles, including high-profile clients and influential personalities. Sarah's account suggested that Meghan's first steps into this elite world weren't random. They were directly facilitated by Andrew, intentionally or otherwise. He was the first major connection she made, the initial link that positioned her within a network that would later touch Hollywood, charity circles, and eventually, the palace itself. What made this revelation even more explosive for Harry was the implication that his wife's interactions weren't entirely independent. Meghan's early career moves, while strategic and professional, were intertwined with someone from his own family. It wasn't just about networking. It was about how power, privilege, and opportunity intersected in ways that blurred the lines between personal and professional. Harry reportedly felt a mixture of disbelief and betrayal. How could this have happened without his knowledge? And why now, decades later, was it coming to light through Sarah Ferguson? Sarah emphasized that Andrew's role was not sinister but pivotal. He didn't initiate scandal, he opened doors. Yet the optics of the situation were unavoidable. To the outside world, and even within the family, having Andrew as Meghan's first client raised questions. Could this connection explain some of the tension and speculation that followed her later rise? Could it shed light on the complexities Harry would face once the public and media caught wind of these details? The potential fallout was enormous, and the emotional weight wasn't lost on Harry. Every detail Sarah revealed painted a picture of a carefully curated introduction into a world few could navigate. Meghan's charm, intelligence, and awareness of her surroundings allowed her to thrive, but it also positioned her in a delicate spot, entwined with royal influence long before her marriage. For Harry, the realization that his wife had been operating in this sphere with Andrew as a first client was almost too much to process. But just when it seemed the story had reached a shocking peak, Sarah hinted at even deeper layers, details of conversations, events, and encounters that Harry had no idea took place. And what came next would not only challenge Harry's understanding of Meghan's past, but threaten to shake the palace itself.